Okay. But if it doesn't, then you've committed a felony or some kind of crime. You cannot sell a gun to somebody who think it might have violent tendencies. That is irresponsible, and guns should be a responsibility.
Right. I mean, I agree it's irresponsible. I guess I'm still struggling to see how you're going to, like, what's the recourse, I guess, and like,
Oh yeah, there has to be some kind of legal recourse. I mean, like when you break the law, there's a consequence, right? Now, what that is, we can talk about that another day. But I guess what I'm trying to say, there would be some kind of consequence to it. Like it could be now, like I would say it's kind of close to manslaughter, right? Like if I were to give a gun to a guy who's irresponsible and then he goes and shoots up a school, well, guess what? I have done something irresponsible and got people killed for it.
Yeah, you're an
Well,
associate.
what is manslaughter? That is exactly that, right? You get drunk and drive behind the wheel and you run over somebody. You are going to get charged with manslaughter. Now, maybe we wouldn't charge a manslaughter. Maybe we'd come up with something lower than that. But I guess what I'm trying to say is it is a bad thing. It's a very bad thing. You don't get to just be irresponsible in our society.
You can look at the recent cop issues, like the guys that are just standing there watching the black guy die. They're equally responsible for that death.
I agree 100%. And they were charged.
By you making this sale to a person, yeah, you're equally responsible. If you're driving a car for bank robbers, you are an associate to bank robbery.
Right.
But are you getting along the lines to like making a registry of guns? Like,
yeah, I mean, so
registration, gun
there's
registrations.
350 million guns. Okay, so realistically, how do I know you sold the gun? Well, the only way I can know you sold the gun is if there's some database with guns in it. Like, now, I would say that information should not be public information, okay? It should be private. So if I shouldn't be able to make a Freedom of Information Act to figure out that you have 30 guns in your house. But if you're deemed to be a responsible person, I don't give a shit if you have 30 or 100 or 8,000 guns, okay? You have been deemed through the system to be responsible. Now, maybe you're not. The system isn't, again, we're not trying to be perfect. What we're trying to do is make a dent in the damages that we are seeing in our society. And I know we all know that there are these damages, right? Gun violence is a huge issue in the United States, and things are improving. But like I said, I think that's not because we're making good decisions on our gun policy. It's because we're just getting better as a society in general. And in a way, that's ideal, but we're not perfect. And so we should have rules that are reasonable to deal with those imperfections.
See, the challenge of a registry, obviously, if you can prevent people from getting the information, there's still going to be somebody that can see the information. And I think it was Canada or maybe Austria, I was reading, they have a gun registry. And they don't have the Second Amendment protections like we do, but they have a gun registry. And there was an example where there was a small town that flooded, so everybody evacuated. And in the process of evacuation, there were some bad characters, and the police department, or maybe it was military, went into the homes of mostly homeowners that registered guns and rummaged through and tried to find these guns, and either took them or like stole them essentially. And people had to sue to try and get their guns back, and it was a whole process. But needless to say, they were targeted because they're on the list.
So that to me is not okay. Now, given the situation the way you laid it out, I don't know the details, but the way you laid it out, yeah, that's absolutely not okay. And I would say that given the judgment of that situation, those cops are in the wrong, and they should be charged because they're robbing you. Like they would be charged with robbery in that case. Now, but I understand that from the perspective of a lot of people, they see that, well, the government is the one that did that. It's like, no, the individuals did that, because we need to keep in mind that what is the government, right? It's the first damn sentence in the Constitution. Like, we the people.
We the people. Yep.
Right?
Very true.
Like, we are the government. So people like to say, oh, the government, the government. We are the government. Like, that's the way it's supposed to be. And that's what I think about when I think about America. Now, I'll tell you, I think there's a lot of issues with that. And I've been talking with Jason about some ideas of what we actually could do really to try to improve things, to make it more we the people than it feels today. But that is what it's supposed to be. That is really what it is. The problems with the government today are problems with us as a society. It's the issues with how we're handling ourselves. And so, Jason, I guess what I'm trying to say is, to that point, that society needs to fix that issue. But it doesn't mean that the registry is bad just because there are people who abused it. The other thing is, given I'm a software engineer, right? Given proper good software engineering, there is a way to make that database encrypted and only be accessible properly. So
Yeah,
hopefully people will be able to abuse it in that way.
I mean, I agree. I love the idea behind a registry. I think it's pretty simple idea, just like a car. But there's a way you can do it in a secure way with the online stuff, and there's probably a way you can do a secure transfer by going to your police department or whatnot and actually performing it there without anybody else seeing you exchange a weapon.
Yeah, I thought about tying it into like the BMV or something, but
yeah, you couldn't do it at the BMV. That you'd see somebody coming in with a little case or maybe a long gun.
Oh yeah,
geez,
I guess you're right.
Or they're going in the back door, like, oh, they must be buying a gun, going in the back door.
I guess maybe it could be. Well, I don't know. I just feel like the BMV is a nice solution because it's already a place where you go to all this registry.
The infrastructure's there.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
totally get it.
But maybe
the
you're
police
right.
Department would probably be the better place to go.
I feel like walking up to the police department with a gun is something a lot of black people are going to have a problem
with. Well, this would be a good opportunity to maybe change the way police view black people walking up with guns. Like, it's like,
yeah, I 100% agree. Like
you said, we the people. It's like you got to change this mentality somehow, right?
No, actually, that's a good point. That's very good. Yes, good job, Jason.